Welcome to this year's 2018 Synergy Service.
Welcome to the youth who might be looking ahead to their own bridging.
Welcome to young adults who remember their own transition to adulthood.
Welcome especially to our bridgers and those who have gathered to support and recognize them.
We know that even though this is an exciting time, transitioning to a different stage of life can be overwhelming.
But look around you. Our faith holds us. Every face you see in this room is a part of the tapestry of support and love that sustains us.
Let's take a moment to thank the GA Band, the participants in today's worship service, and everyone who helped make it possible.
Speaking of someone who helped make this possible, I'd like to take an opportunity to take a moment to offer lots of gratitude for the Reverend Annie Gonzalez-Milliken. Annie, could you please step up? Annie has served 5 faithful, long, loving years as our Young Adult and Campus Ministry Associate, which she is now departing for a new parish minister role. Annie, we have a gift for you. This stole and its swirls and whirls represent the many journeys that you've companioned our young adults and those that minister to them on the way. So Annie, on behalf of all of us, please accept this gift for your service. There are so many of us in this room and across the UUA whose lives have been touched and blessed by your ministry, and we all wish you many blessings on your new ministry.
And now we'd like to invite Emma Merchant, our Junior Youth Caucus Worship Coordinator, to light our chalice.
I learned to light the chalice when I was 6. I carried the delicate flame to the basin of our faith, lit the wick, and stepped away, only carrying our faith a short distance. Here we are again, old friend. I am here to take you on a longer journey this time. I have grown into something new, and no longer do I fear to carry you. You light my path as I travel to an unknown place. And though you give me light, I give you purpose. Just as my mother does, just as my grandfather does. We carry the light and the warmth of community through generations. We grow and we change, and so does our faith. Tonight, we light our chalice, a beacon in the twilight.
I have been a Unitarian Universalist for almost my entire life, but I only began calling myself religious a few years ago. In my experience, the most prominent aspect of Unitarian Universalism and the most widely shared belief of the people I have interacted with is not a belief in a particular God, but a commitment to social justice and a general sense of wanting to help make the world a better place. Of course, I'm not saying that social action can't be spiritual, but for the majority of my life, my focus on UUism has been more geared towards social and political awareness and activism than spirituality. That changed a few years ago when I began participating in youth events, both UUA-based national ones and local youth conferences. What Unitarian Universalism has truly given me, above all else, is the knowledge that not only can spirituality be a part of activism, but that it is, in fact, an essential part of it. Last year, I attended summer seminary, a program where I learned about the jobs and lives of religious professionals, made friends that I am still in constant contact with, and explored the option of becoming a religious professional myself. While I was at summer seminary, Trump announced the transgender military ban, a topic that is still in the news today, almost a year later. I was heartbroken. As a transgender individual, I felt like I had absolutely nobody to reach out to. I was in Boston, thousands of miles away from my home in California, and I was not even out to most of my fellow summer seminary participants. That very day, we had learned about the career path of military chaplaincy. I had even talked to a few chaplains who were currently serving, and I had found their stories incredible and inspiring. I felt like I had been shown an opportunity, only for it to have been taken away from me in an instant. So I did something that I do not do very often. I prayed. Not in the traditional sense, and not to a traditional God, but I was praying. I asked for the strength to continue, to overcome, and to find a way to stand up against what had happened. And in the following days, as a part of the program, I experienced a companionship like nothing I had ever felt before. Most importantly, my hope in the world and the people in it was renewed. All of our movements and everything that we work towards are nothing without the hope that we can actually make change. Hope is essential. Hope is the reason for fighting oppression in the first place. I have been asked to share today what I have gained from Unitarian Universalism and what I wish to pass on to future generations. What I have gained is a place in a community of like-minded people using faith and justice together to make the world a better place. What I hope to pass on to future generations is that same community with a strong youth presence and even stronger representation and inclusion so they too can feel as if they belong. I want future UU youth to have hope and to be able to use spirituality and faith to encourage social action and change the world.
I too cannot overstate how important participation in national Unitarian Universalist youth programming was in shaping my understanding of my own UU identity. And for me, these foundational opportunities have been made possible thanks to generous financial support from programs such as the Katy Tyson Fund, which we are honoring tonight. This fund exists to honor the legacy of a Unitarian Universalist young adult, Katy Tyson, who was a passionate leader in this denomination and who dreamed of becoming a minister herself. Sadly, in 2009, her life ended in a car accident while she was returning home from General Assembly. She was 21, the age I am now. Her parents created the Katy Tyson Fund to help other youth and young adults live their dreams of leadership like Katy had done. Katy's mother, Karen, died in 2012, but her father, Herb, continues to give to our faith community through his incredible generosity of both financial resources and his talents as a singer and songwriter. In the summer after I finished high school, this fund allowed me to be a part of summer seminary, the program that Elliot just discussed, which is a powerful space for any young person working to discern their calling to serve this Unitarian Universalist community. During the week, we explored different types of ministry, and I was open to the world of less traditional and more entrepreneurial ministry. Thanks to this experience, I have been inspired to seek out my own path of ministry as I hope to focus on supporting the work of congregations and youth groups in their social justice efforts, and to bring Unitarian Universalism more fully into the emerging movement of faith communities working to create a just and equitable world through the healing of our broken food system. After summer seminary, I was comfortable being true to myself as I got my bachelor's degree in religious studies while beginning to work professionally in the sustainability world, where I discovered my passion for food justice. It was the incredible community of peers and mentors that I gained then that showed me that different and intersecting passions can coexist beautifully in my calling. Now, I am preparing to begin my studies at Harvard Divinity School in late August. In this time of transition, I am again filled with gratitude for the Katy Tyson Fund because it brought me the community and strengthened sense of identity that I found in this program, Meaning Makers, just 2 weeks ago. I'm seeing many of my friends here in the audience from that, as well as from summer seminary. Hosted at U in Texas Hill Country, this spiritual retreat provides space for you young adults to gather as we navigate this time in our lives as young Unitarian Universalists and explore where we fit into shaping the future of our denomination. In both summer seminary and Meaning Makers, I built relationships that taught me so much and that I know will last for many more years. So I ask you to give generously to this fund, and I hope that I can be a testament to the power of supporting youth and young adult leadership in our denomination. Today, I am encouraging you to give not only of your financial resources, but to reach out to the growing young leaders in your congregations. I would not be where I am today without sustained support of people like you who saw my potential before I did. You can give cash, write a check payable to the UUA with Synergy in the memo line, or fill out your credit card on the envelope provided, or follow the instructions that will appear on the screen for mobile giving. And I thank you for your generosity, and if you're a young adult just like me and my friends, just giving a few dollars of spare change is amazing, and I thank you so much.
Spread your wings and fly higher. We are rising up like a phoenix from the fire. So siblings in spirit, spread your wings and fly higher. We are rising up. We are rising up. We are rising up. We are rising up. Sing with us. We are rising up like a phoenix from the fire. So siblings in spirit, spread your wings and fly higher. We are rising up like a phoenix from the fire. So siblings in spirit, spread your wings and fly higher. We are rising up. We are rising up. We are rising up. We are rising up. We are rising up like a phoenix from the fire, so siblings in spirit, spread your wings and fly higher. We are rising up like a phoenix from the fire. We are rising. Spread your wings and fly higher. We are rising up like a phoenix from the fire. So siblings in spirit, spread your wings and fly high.
A year from now, we'll all be gone. All our friends will move away, and they're going to better places. But our friends will be gone away. Nothing is as it has been, and I miss your face like hell. And I guess it's just as well, but I miss your face like hell. Been talking about the way things change, and my family lives in a different state. And if you don't know what to make of this, then we will not relate. So if you don't know what to make of this, then we will not relate. Sing it if you know it. Rivers and roads, rivers and roads, rivers till I reach you. Rivers and roads, oh rivers and roads, rivers till I reach you.
What do you want to be when you grow up? It's a question that I'm positive everyone in this room has heard, and probably quite a few of you have asked it. The question works well enough in theory, but as a boy, I could never answer it. Not because I had no interests. If anything, there were too many options for me. I've always had a short attention span, so finding things that excited me or intrigued me wasn't a problem. When I was 7, I wanted to be an architect. When I was 9, I wanted to become a Buddhist monk and move to China. When I turned 16, I considered ministry as a career path. Nothing ever stuck with me because the idea of choosing one thing and being just that thing felt like a trap. A box I'd find myself in that would become a prison as soon as my interests changed. Obviously, that's not the case. The kids who could say, I want to be an astronaut, a teacher, an artist, weren't doomed to become locked up in a box. They just had an answer to a question that I didn't. As jealous as I wanted to be, I couldn't help but be amazed that many of my friends had somehow solved life's greatest mystery for themselves. Eventually, as I got older, I wasn't asked the question as much, and it slowly faded into memory as I stopped hearing it. I wasn't introduced to the question again until I was a youth. From the moment I attended my first youth event, a summer camp in the beautiful Southern California mountains, I knew that the community of love and care was something I wanted to be a part of and pursue. It led me to volunteer to be on staff teams for cons and camps, attending trainings and programs like summer seminary. It was at these that I found the same question, but under a different name: calling. The word sounds deeper, and it seems to carry more weight with it, a spiritual vocation that leads us to our ultimate purpose. For some crazy reason, many of my peers seem to have already found theirs. I desperately wanted to find mine. I thought that if I looked hard enough, tried enough things, meditated just the right amount of times, it would pop into my head just like that. But once again, I didn't find the answer. I felt lost searching again and put off the question for a later date. It was only recently, as I quickly approached young adulthood, that I began to see what I was missing. As my time as a youth began to wrap up and the next steps to my future rapidly came near, I recalled the question with newfound urgency. It was now or never. If I couldn't decide what I was going to be, what my calling was, how on earth could I go forth into the adult world? Who would I be? And that's when I found it. It wasn't that I didn't look hard enough or that I was doomed to never find the answer that I was seeking. I had the wrong question. I had to live it first. Unknowingly, I had begun my journey from the moment that I could ask myself the question. It wasn't about what I was going to do in the world in that far-off day when I would become a grown-up. It was about who I was going to be along the way. And it wasn't just me. Even if you know exactly what you want to do, that doesn't make it who you are and who you have to be. We're more than the sum of our parts, not just labels we're sorted into by ourselves or others. Who you are is how you choose to live. No matter how lost you feel, no matter how confusing the road you're traveling down becomes, it's a choice you'll always have. I'll probably never finish answering the riddle of my calling. I don't think I'm meant to. I didn't get to choose I didn't get to know what I would be when I grew up, when I was a boy. But I do get to choose who I'm going to be as a man. And someday, years from now, when I remember the question again, I don't want to ask my children what they're going to be when they grow up, because whether or not they'll be able to answer it, I don't believe that it's the important question. I'd rather ask them, Who do you want to be as you grow up?
Have you ever had the experience of being asked a question so profound that it stops you in your tracks every time you recall it? Well, one of our young ministers of color, Tyler Coles, presented me with this question last fall. What are you building, and how are you building it? My heart stopped, and I felt the immediate urge to interrogate my spirit. And as the year has gone on, after I first heard the question, I've become more playful with it. Think of building as an act of creation, as an act of play. It is so easy to get bogged down in the heaviness of destroying, reimagining, and rebuilding new worlds. The truth is that work will never end. And when adults plan 2-hour meetings with no snacks, bathroom breaks, or songs, that gets heavy. It gets unnecessarily burdensome and laborious. Then we lose so much of the wonder and magic of these ongoing moments of transition. So while my charge to you is to unapologetically interrogate the worlds we are building and the manner in which they are built, my deeper invitation is to make your work playful, to make the transition into UU young adulthood serious but playful, to make your faith as it grows and shape-shifts playful. Our UU tradition of a bridging ritual invites us to surround our UU youth with love in this middle moment as they metaphorically and playfully moved on to the bridge of becoming UU young adults. Unitarian Universalists honor this transition at our denominational gathering because being here now with you all connects us to the bridgers who have come before us, to those who bridge in congregations and summer camps, and to the milestones of transitions and transformations we share with our friends and family. Each bridging youth come forward to the pulpit and say your name and your congregation so that we can celebrate with you your journey, your enoughness. Then cross the stage to greet and receive a gift from our UUA president, the Reverend Susan Frederick Gray, and Director of Youth and Young Adult Ministries, Bart Frost, before exiting down the ramp to go and join your young adult peers in the seating at the front. May we journey together with playful, intentional, insightful, strategic, and light hearts to transition, construct, and live in a more just and faithful, beloved community.
Tessa Hall, the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Topeka.
Bailey Saddlemeyer, First Unitarian Church of Providence, Rhode Island.
Zach Seaman, Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Annalie Derlin Jones, Thomas Jefferson Memorial Church, Unitarian Universalist.
Jonah Goodman, Thomas Jefferson Memorial Church, Unitarian Universalist.
Martin Tomlinson, All Souls of Kansas City.
Davis Burden, First Unitarian Society of Madison.
Jasmine Cow, Community Unitarian Universalist Church, Plano, Texas.
Nina Clark, Elliott Chapel in St. Louis, Missouri. Miranda Allen, Elliott Chapel, Kirkwood, Missouri. Elena Salgado, High Plains UU Church in Colorado Springs.
Bridget Lewis, First Unitarian Universalist Church of Austin.
Henry Hill Gorman, First Unitarian Society of Madison.
Renee Roy, First Unitarian Church of Providence, Rhode Island.
Judah Spahn, DePage UU Church in Naperville, Illinois.
Cassidy Els, DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church, Naperville, Illinois.
Amy Alberg, First Unitarian Church of Providence, Rhode Island.
Allison Luck, Unitarian Universalist Church of Davis. Hannah Drugan, Universalist Unitarian Church of Joliet, Illinois.
My name is Butter, First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis.
Joshua Bose, Unitarian Universalist Church of Fort Worth, Texas.
Ben Abernathy, Unitarian Universalist Church of Columbia.
Eve Levy, First Unitarian Society of Madison.
Rachel Ann Byerly Duke, Unitarian Universalist Church of Columbia, Missouri.
Byrne Dallas Crandall, Shoreline Unitarian Universalist Church, just north of Seattle.
Ian Polaris, Elliott Unitarian Chapel, St. Louis, Missouri.
Chris Twombly, Elliott Chapel, St. Louis, Missouri.
Samantha Miller, Unitarian Universalist Church of Bloomington, Normal.
Carolyn Gooch, Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Salina.
Elliot Farrell Karate, First Universalist Church of Denver.
Luis Catalan, North Shore Unitarian Church in Deerfield, Illinois.
Tricia Cintron, West Shore Unitarian Universalist Church of Rocky River, Ohio.
Elliot Crary, Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Amato, Green Valley, Arizona.
Bridgers, I invite you to remain standing. Young adults, you may sit down. Bridgers, today we recognize your transition into young adulthood. The physical move you made from the stage into the gathering of young adults is symbolic of this change in your life. As you enter young adulthood, things will continue to shift, to change, to grow. But it is important to remember that you do not leave behind all that you have learned and experienced. All that has made you the person that you are now, all that has led you to this moment here, it all comes with you into this new stage of your life. All of who you are, all of who you have been, all of who you will be is bound up in you. And you are bound up in the tapestries that weave together your various communities, Unitarian Universalism, and the wider world. Today, Bridgers, we celebrate you exactly as you are, with all your hopes and fears, intentions and dreams and mistakes and missteps, fully human, no more, no less. We cherish your triumphs and joys, honor your disappointments and sorrows, and recognize that much of life lies somewhere in between. We bless you today, Bridgers, with the knowledge that you are never alone. So many people who you know and people who you may never meet, hold you in love and support. You are connected by invisible threads, invisible bonds to everyone else. The strength of our communities lies within these bonds and within you. Divinity and holiness lie within these bonds and within you. Bridgers, as you go forward into young adulthood and the rest of your lives, we bless you with courage, with humility, and with compassion. We wish for you determination and grace and a willingness and curiosity to learn and be wrong and try again. Go forth confidently with the strength of your communities flanking you. Go forth grounded in the love and support that you find here. Go forth knowing that you are worthy and you are enough. You may be seated.
In my 22 years as UU, I have inherited much of what makes me who I am today. The RE Week community at Ferry Beach in Saco, Maine, has been my spiritual home since I was 9 years old. The other youth there were the older brothers and sisters I had always wanted. Growing up UU taught me to be open-minded, conscientious, and to value community. When I was a junior in high school, the youth conference district I was in was slowly dying. While there was a very enthusiastic group of youth, they were hampered by a finite amount of adult resources, causing disagreement between the youth and adults about the number and length of youth conferences that could be held. I found myself put in a position where, as a youth leader, I wanted my voice to be heard, and as the child of a DRE, I had a path through which I could accomplish that. My goal was for there to be weekend-long cons during my senior year of high school, and after many meetings, emails, and late nights of planning, we ended up being able to have 2. I was at the first of those cons on a night in late January that I began to believe in myself. I realized that if I wanted to do something enough and put in the effort, I could make it happen. Later that year, as I was weighing the pros and the cons of different colleges, I remember thinking to myself that it would be okay if I ended up somewhere without a pre-existent UU group because I knew that I could start one. Fast forward to my sophomore year of college, when I first filed the papers to restart the defunct UU group at my school. It did not exactly go as planned. There are not many UUs who attend my college in the first place, and the subset of people who want to be part of a campus group is even smaller. I also realized that I did not know how to lead a campus group. My old youth group was made up of people who had been friends since childhood. Starting a group from scratch was new to me, but I persisted because if I could pull a con district back together, I could lead a UU campus group. I started looking for resources, writing curricula, and putting together plans so that even on days when I had just run out of lab, I could have something to fall back on. Our group never did get that big, but I learned a lot about leadership, outreach, and how to ask for help when I need it. What I plan on passing to the future generations of UUs is a sense of community. I've experienced community at Ferry Beach RE Week, my youth conference district, my home congregation, and in my college campus group. What I've learned through the many groups that I've been in is how important UU community can be, making sure that my fellow young adults know that they are welcome is paramount to me because my UU community has helped me to be a better, happier, more generous person, and I want to make sure that others can have the wonderful experience I did.
I invite you to rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing. Making
As Unitarian Universalists, we have inherited the freedom to determine and accept on our own terms how we live out our faith. We are urged to seek knowledge to refine our understanding of the world we live in. The fourth principle guides us on a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. For many, Unitarian Universalism provides a community in which we are all free to choose. We strive to create a beloved community in which personal choice, the freedom to be who we are, is cherished by many. Our ability to individually and collectively choose the energy that we put into the world is something that I believe is distinctive about our faith. That being said, I encourage you to take a second and deeply consider really how much of your presence in Unitarian Universalism, your congregation, you being here at GA, is due to choice. Are you here solely because of your power to make a selection of a faith that best encompasses your morals? Or is there more at play? I speculate that for those of you who were born or adopted into Unitarian Universalism, as well as those of you who found Unitarian Universalism later on, that there is something more than just personal choice or choice of your caregivers that brought you into this community. I encourage you to explore what aspects of your path to Unitarian Universalism have been involuntary. What contributions have past generations made to this faith that have made your dedication to Unitarian Universalism nearly compulsory? Perhaps my own story will clarify. In 1988, I was adopted into a white Unitarian Universalist family as a newborn. I was dedicated in a UU fellowship in Elkhart, Indiana, by the minister Gordon Gibson. My mother and cousin are former DREs, and my father spent time as a board member at a couple of different congregations. My grandmother helped found a UU church in South Bend, Indiana in 1952. The only faith I have known has been Unitarian Universalism. It has not only been my personal history that has strengthened my identity as a Unitarian Universalist, but also the choices and contributions of my parents' and grandparents' generations that have cemented my choice of this faith. It is the contributions of generations past that made way for myself, a Black woman and proud Unitarian Universalist, to hold both of those identities, not as conflicting or opposed attributes, but as simultaneously and harmoniously linked aspects of my existence. The space that has been made for me by Unitarian Universalists of color so that I, an anxious, uncertain, and hesitant Black girl, was able to find a community in which I was able to unpack the degradation that oppression had done to me and supported my exploration of Black joy. This is what I pass on. It is the offerings of generations past that have emboldened my passion for social justice. It was Unitarian Universalists of color who challenged me and other youth of color to examine and ultimately confront the internalized racial oppression we were struggling with. Additionally, white UUs, predominantly youth and young adults, who showed me that to truly be in beloved community, that they had their own work to do as well. I have inherited a sense of obligation to confront and question injustice within our denomination and the world at large. This is what I pass on. It is the contributions of generations past that gave me, a shy 12-year-old, the confidence and assurance to hold my own opinions and thoughts in high regard as those of adults. Youth advisors and ministers who truly knew the meaning of youth empowerment helped me gain a tenacity and self-reliance that can only be achieved from authentic acknowledgement. The courage of the youth community to speak their truth to power is a mighty force. This is what I pass on. I did not choose Unitarian Universalism until later. And what I came to understand is that Unitarian Universalism chose me.
Unitarian Universalism is our shared faith. It is our gift, our responsibility, our legacy. As we heard in these stories, our faith has helped us pray when we needed it most, supported us in discerning who we were going to be on our journey, taught us what we are capable of, and this faith has chosen us. During the past 5 years in this job, I have tried to live into the responsibility of making this faith a better home for younger generations. But sometimes I made mistakes, like getting stuck in my ego and sending defensive emails. Maybe you've done that. Like getting caught up in the busy and totally forgetting to set up a meeting with my 18 to 24-year-old Meaning Makers participants. Sorry. Sometimes I just prioritized other things. Sometimes working on white supremacy within the UUA came first. Sometimes my organizing work supporting our undocumented neighbors came first. Sometimes my kid came first. So I cannot say that this work is easy, and I cannot say it should always be on everyone's priority list, since I've been paid to do it full time and still sometimes had to shift my focus. But I can say this with certainty. This ministry belongs to all of us, and without this ministry, our faith is already dead. All of us are called to strengthen ministry for our youngest adults, to add a few stitches to the tapestry of our faith. So I invite you to do something simple and difficult this afternoon. I invite you to figure out what's the next thing you are gonna do to make this faith a better home for these Bridgers and all their peers all throughout our movement. So maybe you're already doing 1, 2, or 15 things for this ministry, but I invite you now to think of a thing, a real thing. A thing like text that young adult I mentored during coming of age, who I haven't talked to for a while. A thing like go home and email my religious educator and see about organizing a care package making party for our youth alumni. A thing like get together with some students and maybe we can plan a small group worship on our campus. A thing like go home and educate myself more on gender identity terms that are common in younger generations but may be unfamiliar to me. Just pick a thing. Okay, do you have your thing? If not, you'll have another moment, but I want each of you to find a partner for this exercise. So if nobody's sitting near you and you can move easily, I invite you to do so. If it is less easy for you to move, please signal someone to come be your partner. And then you're going to share with your partner the one thing you're gonna do and how you're gonna remember to do it after you leave GA. So you'll each have a minute to share with your partner. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. And you can keep making those commitments. Find somebody who wasn't here tonight, tell them about it. And now we're going to bless these commitments with the buttons you received earlier. I want you to hold that button in your hand. Beloved, a button by itself is not of much use. But a button sewn onto a garment can help to close gaps. It makes the whole thing function. These buttons are the actions we are going to take to support ministry to and with our youngest adults. When you return home and you add your action to your faith community, you will help to close those gaps and make our communities function better. So keep this button as a reminder of the work and a reminder that we need to be connected by the threads of faith and community for this work to matter. May we do this sacred, necessary, joyful work together.
Here in reverence now we gather for the blessings we have known, with a pledge to one another that we journey not alone. Joy and sorrow make us wise, kin to all that lives and dies. Love calls us on. Love calls us on. Words and deeds of those before us waken here to keep us strong. Blend our voices in the chorus of creation's living song. Courage bids us lift our eyes upward to the shining skies. Hope calls us on. Hope calls us on. Loyal guides of love and duty, lead us with a trusted light. Blessed are they whose inward beauty shows the path of truth and right.